I've said it before, and it's still true today. I ain't scared of no ghost. Bigfoot, I can run pretty fast. But aliens? There's just something freaky deaky about aliens. And of course, that's what alien abduction is all about. It takes place on Brown Mountain in North Carolina, which does have a lot of real-life reports of something called the Brown Mountain Lights. I've heard of the lights before, and I've always thought of them as ghost lights, a natural phenomenon, or maybe even a parked car in some cases. However, Alien Abduction attempts to solve this mystery, saying that they are, in fact, UFOs. One thing this movie does to try to make it sound more real is claim that this is footage found in Project Blue Book, a government-funded investigation into UFOs and aliens, which ended in 1969. But judging by the way the main characters dress, the cars they drive, and the police cam, it's way after 1969. It's just a little pet peeve of mine. There's no way this could be in Project Blue Book. Moving on, we meet the Morris family. Katie, Peter, Corey, Jillian, and Riley. Riley has a thing for the video camera, and apparently he's slightly autistic. He claims it keeps him calm, so that's your reasoning for him filming all this. The family's on their way to Brown Mountain for a little camping getaway that will surely be out of this world. Oh, I'm sorry, I'll see myself out. The first 20 minutes or so are admittingly pretty boring. It's all just set up. We gotta meet the family, learn about them, and all that. There is a cool scene where the kids wake up in the middle of the night from a bright flash. Then, outside, they see 3 lights in the sky. The Brown Mountain Lights. They zip around and out of sight, which is their first sign to just get the heck out of there. But of course, they don't listen and continue on with their adventure, eventually getting lost, to the point where even the GPS isn't helping them. But that doesn't really make sense, unless something is in space blocking the signal. They continue down the long, windy road, getting deeper and deeper into the forest. And, wouldn't you know it, the gas light comes on. But they're too far from civilization to turn back now. They have to keep moving forward and hope that they can get to a town soon. Well, they don't get their opportunity because they find a whole bunch of cars on the side of the road, all empty, not a soul in sight. An eerie thing to see for sure. Peter, Corey, and Riley all get out to investigate, then at the other end of a tunnel, they see something walk out. They try to get a closer look when a tall alien pops out from behind a car to scare the crap out of everyone. They hide out for a little while and try to come up with a plan, which is basically run for your lives. They get up and run, and when they do, Peter is instantly put into a trance and all hell breaks loose. The boys run back to the car, assuming that their father is dead meat. They find their mom and sister and just take off, going anywhere but here. The boys calmly and coolly explain to their mother that her husband is dead. No, just kidding. They freak out and scream and yell for a while, until it starts raining crows. What a sentence I never thought I would say. I'm guessing what happens here is that because crows and other birds can sense magnetic fields, the alien ship has them all out of whack. So they gave up and dive-bombed the car. Anyway, it stalls out their vehicle, and now, being out of gas, it won't start. So they have to hoof it up the road to a nearby house. Luckily, they make it, but the owner of the cabin, Sean, isn't too happy to see him. He greets him, locked and loaded. His dog runs out the door, and he sees something in the woods, which Sean fires at, giving them enough time to hide out in his cabin and explain themselves. Good thing they have Riley's camcorder to prove their story. They show him the footage and he decides to help him out. But he doesn't have the truck. His brother does. No worries. They can just wait there until he gets back. Then this whole nightmare would be over, right? Things calm down for a bit so everyone can catch their breath. Sean brings up a good point. There was a police car in the tunnel. When a cop goes missing, the whole state will be out looking for him. So that's good. Someone is bound to come around and investigate. They see some old radio equipment that might help him out, but Sean says it's busted. They only really use it for the brothers to communicate back and forth. And apparently, Sean's brother, Scott, doesn't have his on. Eventually, they hear something, and it gets to the door. Surprise! It's the dog. Thank goodness! Finally, a movie where the dog survives. A little later, they're coming up with some theories as to what's going on here, and Sean has the best one I've heard yet. He compares all of this to night fishing. When you go out on the water, you set up a bright light so the fish swim up to the surface to investigate. From there, all you have to do is scoop them up in a net. Easy fishing. Some you catch, and some you release. Maybe that's what these aliens are doing. All they can hope for is that they decide to release and let them go. Finally, they hear Scott on the radio talking about some lights. His brother tries to warn him, but it's no use. So he decides to leave the family and go rescue him.
I said don't go near them lights!
They have plenty of supplies to make it to morning. Guns, ammo, and even 5 gallons of fuel that they can use to fill up their car. They just have to make it till the sun rises, and then all of this will be over. At some point in the night, the cabin is engulfed in a bright white light, and they see something outside. The family books it to the crawl space to hide out, but Corey stays behind, opting to fight the creatures. Which, judging by his screaming, doesn't work out so well. Their only option now is to hide out for a while and just hope for the best. After a little while, they hear something enter the cabin and run over to the trap door. Thankfully, it's just Sean. He came back for him. He says that he found his brother's truck. All the doors were open, but no sign of him. Luckily, it was still running, and he was able to come back and rescue the family, or at least what's left of them. They drive for a while until, once again, here comes that pesky light. Sean tells them to follow a trail that will lead to a barn where they could hide out for the night, and he'll try to keep them busy.
Y'all get in that barn, you hide.
After a couple of close calls, the Morrises make it to the barn. And, I mean, it's not Hotel 6, but it'll certainly do for the night. If they can just keep quiet and avoid the light, they might be okay. Well, this alien's more vicious than Predator, because it comes back and searches the barn. At this point, all they can do is pray, which actually seems to work. The light goes away. But the door opens, and once again it's Sean there to save him. Katie heads out first, only to be stopped by a tractor beam. Then her body breaks and folds in half. Ugh, and then she's sucked right up. Later on, as the kids run, Sean is treated with the same fate. And now, all that's left is Riley and Jillian. They run around the woods for a while, thinking it's safe, only to see that they're not. But eventually, after running and hiding, they make it to morning. They look over a cliff and can see a small town below. They're almost there. Finally, they make it to a road. Ironically, it's just the other side of the tunnel all this started in. A police car pulls up, and the kids can finally breathe a sigh of relief. But here we go again. This time the alien attacks and brings Riley on board their spaceship, with a pretty cool effect, I gotta say. He wanders around for a while, hearing all kinds of nightmarish sounds. Then he falls through a tube, back to Earth. Obviously, he doesn't make it. But somehow his camera did, and it's still recording. I don't know how. Rocks can't enter our atmosphere without burning up, but somehow this camera can. Some government official picks it up, and that's the end. Or is it? Because after the credits, we see dash cam footage 1 year after all this took place. It looks like some cops are picking up a homeless man, but on further inspection, we can see it's Peter, the dad.
TNT assistant, looks like it's the father.
And that was Alien Abduction, a pretty good found footage movie. I will say it had a lot going on for it. I really liked when they pulled up to all those abandoned cars. It was eerie and it set the mood of the film going forward. The alien and other effects were well done, but I would have liked to have seen the creature just a little more. And finally, the acting was surprisingly really good, especially from Corey. When he had to tell his mom that his father didn't make it out of the tunnel and that they couldn't go back and see, they had to just keep driving, it was pretty heartbreaking.
Wait a minute, turn the car around.
Mom!
Wait, we can't
Mom,
your father
please,
there. What is
believe
going
me,
on?
there's nothing
What
that
is
we
going
can do.
on?
Mommy is gone! We have to get help!
There are some dumb decisions made by the family, which at this point are a staple of the horror genre. Running out of gas, everyone was running around screaming and crying when, if they would just keep quiet and hide out, they would have been okay. But at this point, you know that kind of stuff is going to be in a movie called Alien Abduction. Does it solve the answer to what are the Brown Mountain Lights? No, but it does get you thinking. If you're a fan of found footage or alien movies, then check it out. It's a good time. I give Alien Abduction 2.5, almost 3 dead crows out of 4.